It may be looking a bit dated now, but when you've got under £1,000 to spend, this car that once topped the sales charts makes a lot of sense. Its 1.6 litre engine may not have a lot of power, but it is economical. There are plenty around, so parts are plentiful, and down at the garage they're cheap to fix. But what will Andy think of the Vauxhall Astra?
So come on, we're in the Vauxhall. What do you think of it?
Not impressed. There's the vibration to start with is, that's obvious. You're rattling as you go, and if you're on a long journey, that's going to really annoy you. Short distance is bad enough, but the long distance is going to really irritate you. The clutch is very, very heavy. You have to, I can feel myself. As you get used to the car, you're going to get cramped doing this clutch.
Is it that bad?
Yeah. It's...
But you have to push it really hard to get it down.
Yeah, you need 2 feet. It's easy to store, as we found out.
But you're the king of stallers today, really, aren't you?
The famous roundabout.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times.
Oh, have a whip.
I'm sorry, he's only learning. So that's exactly the same place as you stole the polo. I can't actually believe...
He's brilliant.
I can't believe you actually did it. All right, so we could blame that on the clutch.
We could do.
Yeah, but we won't.
Probably. I'll tell you, I'll take the credit for that one.
The Astra was launched all the way back in 1979 as Vauxhall's replacement for the Chevette. Our car is one of the Mark III Astras, which was launched in 1991 as a competitor for the Volkswagen Golf and the Ford Escort. The Mark III was replaced in 1998. The Mark IV is due for replacement in the next few months, although perhaps not the most exciting car on the road. Where it matters, in the sales charts, the Astra is never far from the top.
So why would you buy a Vauxhall Astra? Well, they're cheap and there's an awful lot of them around, which means that when you go looking for one, you can actually afford to be quite fussy. When you do find one, if it's been well serviced and well looked after, you shouldn't have a problem with reliability. Inside, it's well built and it's quite spacious. Under the hood, you've got a small engine, which means it's economical and it's quite cheap to insure.
So what should you be paying for an Astra? Astra Mark III start at under £100, but these are likely to be tired examples. With £1,000 to spend, Andy has an awful lot of choice of Astras made before 1995. We'd be more concerned with overall condition and finding a car that has been serviced regularly over outright age. But what will he think of the Vauxhall Astra?
All right, Andy, finally the Vauxhall Astra, which drives like a big snowball rolling down a hill.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
It should be yellow because this is a lemon, I'm afraid. There's no getting around it. It's to look at, the exterior is fine. For a car of its age, it's what you'd expect. But once you get inside, it's a whole other story. The interior isn't great. It's very standard.
Yeah.
But then when you start driving the car, for £600 I want something that goes, and this car just cuts out on me. It's unpredictable. It's scary to drive. Some of that was my fault, I admit that, but this car did not help.
A lot of it was your fault, but I have to admit that a lot of it was the car. It just cut out for no apparent reason when you were stopping and stuff. Which, if it was scary for you, it was 10 times a lot more scary for me. I can sitting there with a bus coming to. Anyway, that's another story for another day. But you've had problems with roundabouts, and you had problems with this car, and for the money, it's not your cup of tea. Then.
No, by far.